It really, and that's not even the craziest part of the book. I just feel like this book just increasingly gets wild, which is why my anxiety was through the roof reading this. But it's so good. Like, it's so well worth it. Hi, hello, and welcome to the Cozy Little Book Club. I'm your host, Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me. I am so excited to talk to y'all about this book. Now, I know I said I would wait until I finished some of my library books before I got into the second African Immortals book, but I lied. I couldn't wait. And the audio book was just there, ready to be listened to. And so I did it. I listened to it. And let me tell y'all thought that first book was crazy? You ain't see nothing until you hear about this book, okay? Okay. So, I'm so excited to tell y'all about The Living Blood by Tananarive Due. So obviously this is a sequel to My Soul to Take. So if you didn't listen or read it, I suggest you go do that ASAP and then come back here and listen to this. And this is going to be probably a little lengthy because there's so much to cover. You thought the first book was crazy? This book is even more outlandish and extra. So just buckle up. So this story starts off a few years after the first book ends in Tallahassee, Florida, where two men are rushing to the hospital to get help for a very sick little boy by the name of Jared. His dad, Lucas, is a doctor, herbalist, and medicine man who is determined to do anything to save his dying son. Jared has leukemia, and as you can imagine, that was a huge blow to the family. The diagnosis was harder to receive because it was almost exactly 2 years after Jared lost his mother and Lucas lost his wife to a brain tumor. It's a lot to deal with for a family. As the days pass on, it's almost as if Jared is declining rapidly. And then Lucas begins to have dreams about the blood. We already going there, okay? We already getting there, okay. He has dreams of his wife telling him to basically cut himself and pour his blood into hers to heal her. And from there, he keeps seeing too many messages and too many coincidences that indicate that the blood is the cure to his sick, dying child. So soon, in a race to literally save his son's life, as the days and minutes are ticking, he's off to go find the blood that'll save his son. On the other side of the world, we see that Jessica and her sister Alex are now in Botswana, Africa, to use Jessica's blood to heal the children of the community. They've been doing it for a few years now, and actually within 2 years of them making their makeshift clinic, David actually visits Jessica and tells her that while it's great that she's healing these children, she's making a grave mistake and that the Brotherhood and other powers that be will be coming to find her. What I tell you, don't mess with the Brotherhood. They don't be playing. At the time, it wasn't revealed to David that Jessica had had a baby. And she didn't tell David about this during his brief but ominous visit. Fast forward 2 years later, and Jessica and her sister are still in Africa, and she's given birth to this baby with extraordinary powers. Powers that are actually beyond normal human comprehension. Her daughter is actually so enamored with her own powers that she often hurts herself to see herself heal rapidly. And one day she actually does drown herself just because she wanted to know what it was like. And after all, she obviously came back because she is an immortal. Now, if that's not a foreshadowing to what this baby, again, a child, is doing, you're not paying attention, okay? Oh, and I have a really big spoiler alert. I mean, I kind of spoiled a little bit before, but this is a really big spoiler alert. So in the last book, at the end of that crazy showdown between Mahmoud and the Brotherhood and Jessica trying to flee away from David when she finally, starts thinking. David actually kills Jessica. He kills her because in order to be an immortal, you have to die and then be reborn, rebirth, wake up again. And again, that's why I pointed out the Udos Budos, because it's a life-death life cycle. You're alive, you die, you're reborn. Simple as that. And so in order to keep his family safe, David killed Jessica, performed the ritual, and he was trying to do the same thing for Kira, but he didn't have enough time because police knew that Jessica was kidnapped and endangered. So they bust through the door. And as he was trying to inject his blood to bring her back and do the ritual, police shot him. Of course, he doesn't die. He's an immortal. They shot him, so he didn't get to finish it. So his baby died. He didn't mean to kill her, but he did, okay? So I told you it was a lot of drama last book. This book is even more dramatic, okay? So, yes. David did not know that when he was performing this ritual on Jessica, and Jessica didn't know either, that she was pregnant with her baby, Beatrice. So I had to throw that out there because obviously it wouldn't make any sense. He's like, where does damn baby come from? And this is not Immaculate Conception. That's what it's called, right? Immaculate Conception? It ain't that. He killed her. He injected her. She was pregnant. They ain't know. They had a baby. Boom. Super baby. And that's the circle of life, baby. So, her daughter Beatrice, like I said, was testing her immortality and therefore drowned herself, which was so traumatic for her nanny. And imagine you're giving a baby a bath. You tell that baby, sit your ass up. I'm going to be right back. I'm just going to get a washcloth. You come back, this baby drowned. And then a couple hours later, the baby's alive. That is scary. Personally, I would have left that house. But that's just me. Because why are you alive again? That's weird. Like, you know, I'm glad the baby's alive, but why? So, yeah, that's intense. After her rebirth, her death, she reawoke and renamed herself as Fauna. It is an Ethiopian name that means light. Throughout the story, we learned that Fauna's powers are incredible. And that could be both a good thing and a bad thing. Let's not forget that this is a 4-year-old, right? So at just the age of 4, she has the power to literally create rain. It's not a giving away, but at one point she launches herself into the air, makes a cloud, and makes it rain in the middle of Africa. Sorry, that's very broad. In the middle of Botswana during dry season. Like, she's doing some miraculous things. But along with that, she is a kid who is still navigating throughout the world with people who are not just immortal. And so she doesn't understand everything. So she can read thoughts. She can read vibes, energies when people are doing and feeling negative things about her and the people around her. She can feel that. And every day her powers get stronger and stronger to the point that she can easily kill someone or put them to sleep with just her mind. And that is such a crazy thing to think about for a child. And while that's amazing, and it proves really difficult for Jessica because not only is she mourning the loss of her first daughter, Kira, but she doesn't even know how to deal with the things that Fauna is doing. First of all, we already know Jessica be oblivious. You already know how I feel about her. I don't dislike her, but she could turn on her brain a little bit more. What Cleopatra say? Turn it on! Like,
turn it on!
That's how I feel it. Turn it on, girl. I need you to be a little bit more aware. And you got a baby, so like... But I do understand that she is in this process of mourning, and she just doesn't understand this super freak of a child that she now has, okay? And not to mention that she's already feeling kind of mixed signals because this blood that she's using to help so many people, because word travels and people be gossiping, we know that. When you treat somebody and it's a miracle, they're telling their friends who also have sicknesses and illnesses, and people are coming from far and wide. And so with that, she's getting publicity, and it's just not safe for her and her family to help this many people. She still wants to make a difference because she has this blood and she wants to utilize it in a very positive way. Eventually, she learns that she needs a lot of help, and the only place that will really provide her with the answers and have the same thought processes as her is to go to Lalibela, where the Blood Brothers are, and where Dave is, and where Khaldun is. I didn't mention Khaldun from the first book. He was definitely in it, but we're definitely going to get deeper into it, so bear with me. Khaldun was mentioned in the first book as one of the first people to have the living blood outside of Jesus, and is ultimately kind of like their cult leader. But we'll dive more into him in a minute. And while Jessica and Lucas are on two opposite sides of the world, they somehow end up being connected. And in the midst of trying to navigate all these new things happening, there is a huge health conglomerate that is also after the blood and has pure nasty intentions to make a lot of money off of it and get their hands on this blood by any means necessary. Corporate greed will do it to you. And they're willing to do anything and everything to obtain it. And I won't give it away, but just use your imagination when rich healthcare people are after something that is so life-saving that they want to capitalize off of it, and what they're willing to do to make their pockets fatter. So just use your imagination. Eventually, all of these storylines come to a crazy clash that is beyond anyone's control. I mean, that is except for Fauna's. And in the end, we'll see who will be left standing. The themes of this book are definitely power and the responsibility of wielding it, family, and the strides you do to take care of your family, immortality and humanity, and also greed and exploitation. So before I say what I did and didn't like about this book, I will just say that Tananarive has done it again. She is the thriller queen to my heart. You know how much anxiety I had listening to this book? I was on edge quite a bit. I'm not saying I was happy to be on edge, but I could not stop listening to this audiobook. Again, another reason why I like listening to thrillers and horrors as an audiobook. People will call me denied. I'm trying to listen to this book and see what happens. You're done. You're blocked. I can't talk to you right now. I need to know what's going to happen to this damn little girl. I need to know what's going to happen. So I'll now tell you what I did like about this book. To be honest, with the ending of My Soul to Keep, I really didn't know what to expect from the second book. What I got, I did not expect. And I do love a good surprise. So that was something. I thought it was going to be a creepy child book. I'm not really into creepy children movies. I don't know if anybody is. Like, honestly, it was giving me Children of the Corn with them having these weirdo kids and the powers. That's what I thought Fauna was going to be like. And I was like, I don't know if I like her, which is crazy to say about a 4-year-old. And I'm not proud to say that. But she got too much power. You know what this actually makes me think of? That Kanye song, what one man can have. Yeah, what one man can hold all that power. But it's a little girl. Like she's 4. You know what I'm saying? So it's already crazy for one human adult to have a lot of power. But a child who doesn't fully understand all thoughts and intentions, or doesn't know exactly how to read a situation, like still learning how to pick up social cues, that is frightening. So I thought it was going to be like some Children of the Corn thing, and I was not a fan of Fauna at first because I was like, this little girl is weird. Sorry, Fauna. I was like, I don't know about this. So, and ultimately, Fauna really couldn't help it. She is a little kid. And she got her oblivious mama who really doesn't know how to pick up. But also, I will give her grace because she was mourning still. Jessica was, again, oblivious to all the things that Fauna could do. And it was just for me as a reader or a listener, I thought it was really interesting because Fauna clearly had some hard times, and not hard times, but she had some struggles as a little kid trying to understand her power, and her mother just wasn't there all the time. She was there. She wasn't absent from her, but, you know, her mind wandered and thinking about Kira and all the other things that she's lost out on. And also just, you know, helping save the world around her. So she had a lot on her plate, so I will give Jessica that. But we already know Jessica be oblivious. But Fauna didn't know that it was not her fault. You know what I'm saying? So there's that. But I did, when I was writing my review for this, I did write 4 years later and Jessica's still acting silly as hell. But after I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, you know what? She was dealing with a lot. But like, this 4-year-old could literally think a person to a coma and to death. So yeah, you need some help because you don't know how to take care of this baby. Go to your baby daddy. Go get some help from the Immortals who know what to do. You know what I'm saying? So she did, and I'm happy for her. This was also another good book about the human psyche, right? Because Lucas was a very holistic person. Yes, he was a doctor, but he treated people through natural medicines, indigenous medicines, and things like that. And when you think about somebody like that, typically, I think of people who are kind and level-headed, and I wouldn't say woo-woo, but some people would probably say a little woo-woo. But, you know, just chill, in my mind at least. At least my mind reading him. But it was such a interesting journey to see how he went from this sane, rational man to this incredibly irritable, frustrated, desperate man because he was trying to save his son's life. It really just showed me that there is nothing stronger than a parent's love, and that parents will do anything for their kid. And I also want to say, you know, despite everything that Jessica has been through, I can really appreciate her faith in God. Like, she don't waver. And also, my girl be calling God's name all the time. She be like, oh my God, like, what's happening? Because a lot of stuff do be weird. But she is not, you know, she got way more faith than that little mustard seed. I don't know. She got all the faith, okay? And something I didn't mention in the last review was another part that I thought was reason why Jessica was silly as hell, because she was a Christian and David was clearly an atheist. Like, if you knew that when you first met him, like, how would y'all think that was gonna work? Use the way. What she said? Turn it on. For real, turn it on. Like, what's up? Make it make sense. Because if you turned it on, you would have avoided all this. We all make choices. What I said, we all make choices. Okay. You already know how I feel about that. I'll also say that I really enjoyed all the different points of view that this book was written in. It started off with Lucas, then Jessica, then David, then the corporate greedy people, and then interwoven through that are Fauna's thoughts and perspectives. And I thought that her perspective was the most fun, even though at first she kind of creeped me out. It was just really fun, like, being in this little baby's mind, like her little baby ass. Like, she's just thinking about mommy. Like, she's doing all these like little kid things and she's like obsessed with Alice in Wonderland and how she attributes some of what happens in that story to what happens in her real life and how she interacts with things in life. So I thought that was really cute and really fun because she's still innocent. She's still a child. Little angel. And she was just incredibly intuitive. And I think that there's parts of the story that Fauna goes into what Jessica calls a trance. And in that trance, she often goes into this place called what Fauna calls the not real place. In that place, she's lured by some dark shadow figures, but she's also guided through Khaldun. It's the place where she gets to communicate with Khaldun even before actually meeting him, and then also being able to explore and utilize her powers and really kind of test them out and see what she can and can't do. I really won't go too deep into what the not real place is about because that would give away very key parts of the story. You know how they talk about women having intuition? This little girl is so, as Abraham Hicks would say, tuned in, tapped in. She's that. Her intuition is honestly insane. Not to give a spoiler, but there's a point in the book when they're in an Italian airport and Fauna can feel the energy of a very strange man who ultimately is a pedophile. Let's just call it what it is. He's an Italian soldier who's in the airport who's thinking about these really nasty thoughts about her. And I said that she can read thoughts, and she can, but she kind of feels them more. Like, she understands the intention and the energy behind them. And while she was in one of her trances, she kind of played out what the weird man wanted to do to her. He basically had done it to other little girls. He was taking them who were lost in the airport from their parents and taking them into a room and doing God knows what to them. You know what I'm saying? He's a creep, but she can feel his intent and malice. There's a lot of animes, where you can feel the energy, and you'll hear, like, you'll see them say, like, "Ooh, what malice?" You know, like that. Like, that's how she can feel it. So it was disgusting, but it was just wild that she could feel his sick and depraved thoughts. And even though she didn't know exactly what a pedophile was or what he was doing to these girls, she just knew it wasn't right. But without knowing who he was or where he was immediately, she just felt his nasty intent, you know what I mean? When she finally did see him, that malice and that, maybe not malice, but just that sickness of him being a pedophile really just flooded her, and she was not having it. I say all this to say, not to give away the story, but listen to the kids, man. Like, when the kids are telling you they are feeling off about someone, believe them. Because I think of it as this. Children are way more closer to source energy than we are. You know, they're still learning the world before a lot of people can put things in their head and ideas and thoughts. You know, they understand energies and they feel them. And so when your kid is telling you, or a child is telling you something doesn't feel right, I would just say to lean into that. Something isn't right to them for a reason. Maybe you don't know because you're a little bit removed, but listen to the kids, man, because they can feel the energy too. Don't disregard them because they're young. And as an adult, trust your intuition. I can guarantee you that your intuition, that gut feeling, will never steer you wrong. And I know that as we get older, sometimes we don't listen to our intuition, but the more you flex that muscle, the stronger it gets and the more intuitive you can be. And that way you don't find yourself in crazy situations. Everybody, listen to your intuition. It's there for a reason. Yes. But ultimately, Fauna really helped a lot throughout this story based on her intuition alone. So let's talk about my boy, David. Now, I didn't hate David. I've never hated David. I think that he had really good intentions at first until he started killing everybody. Like, why'd you do all that? Like, he didn't have to do all of that because he was mad he's going to get found out, and you still got found out. So, you're just doing things. I don't agree with that. But I never hated David, but I didn't always like the way he went about things. And I still don't hate him in this book. But ultimately, if we really think about it, all this shit is his fault. All this shit is his fault. Ain't nobody tell you to date this young ass girl, marry her. First, let's take it even back. Ain't nobody tell you to join this damn cult. Live for 500 years. Know the rules of the cult. Date this young ass girl, marry her have a baby, kill her and her baby, give her a super freak baby, and now the world is f***ed up. David, you need to own up. You f***ed up, bro. You fucked up, and it's all your fault. And Khaldun even said, like, bro, you were so gung-ho to disobey my rules. Like, he was sick of him too. Everybody was sick of him. So yes, all of this is David's fault. And I don't even think that he really understood the gravity of the situation that they were in. And then not only is it your fault, everybody hates you, bro. Your life brothers fuck with you. Like, so much so, like, yes, they're immortal, but they still feel pain and they die. they're immortal. They're coming back, but you stab them, they're gonna feel that stab. So his brothers were beating his ass. They was like, how dare you betray us, then come back to the crib. Like, it's all good. They were throwing acid on him and lighting his ass up. Literally igniting this man, putting him out, lighting his ass up again. David was so shook. It's obviously not okay to bury people, but because not only did you break the law of the whole basis of the brotherhood, bro. It's supposed to be bros before hoes. He ain't care. Not only did you do that, you got this freaky ass baby, and your wife is coming to us. Nobody supposed to know we're here. Like, you sold us out, so they was burning your ass up. They was just beating his ass. He was so messed up and burnt up. He was like, damn, I definitely don't think that my immortality is going to work anymore. Will I look the same again? They burned him. He had to wait till his eyelids grew back. It's not funny. But that's what your ass get. You know the rules. There are consequences. What do you think, David? But yeah, everything was David's fault, and I will not sugarcoat it. It was his fault. You're the reason that they're suffering. So now you gotta suffer. Okay, now that I've lit... Why is that so funny? Let's talk about Khaldun. I'm actually really excited to talk about him because I did some research on the actual historical figure of Ibn Khaldun out of, I think he's from Tunisia. Can't think of what it is at the moment, but he's a historical figure. And he was regarded as one of the greatest social scientists, as well as a historiographer, philosopher, educator. My man Khaldun had a lot of accolades. Let's just start with that. The real Khaldun. The Khaldun in this story is kind of similar in the way that he loves knowledge. That's why he wanted to live forever. I don't think there's ever that much knowledge that I would want to just live forever. I just don't think so. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I'll have to live forever and let you know. So again, in the story, Khaldun was considered the first living blood brother outside of Jesus, who again, they stole the blood from. And he is history's oldest man, oldest living man. And since he had literally nothing but time, he was learning knowledge from all over the world. And instead of just gaining this knowledge and hoarding it for himself, he decided to handpick a few people, men specifically, because he didn't want the blood to be passed on to another woman to have babies, you know, creating fauna. But before that, he knew that he wanted it to be with men who he could have a brotherhood with and also spread the knowledge and encourage them to seek knowledge as well. So I think there are about 69 blood brothers, but with Jessica and Fauna, there are fully 71 blood people. Doesn't hold the same, but yeah. Anyway, essentially they're all related at this point because they have this ritual, they're connected by blood, blah, blah, blah. So to these men in the brotherhood, they really think of Khaldun as like a father to them, and that includes David. In the story, we get to see how the colony has advanced from all this great knowledge. So I won't go too deep into it, but the colony is underground. They have just so many wonders of the world within this large colony for these men. They have an artificial sun that they've made with purely just gases. They have weapons such as guns that take particles from the air, condense it into a bullet, a bullet that can pinpoint where your heart is and kill you. Like, they have the greatest advancements ever. And you know what? Thinking about that just kind of shows me how, if I think about it, I think all the brothers were black. And that just kind of makes me think of how advanced so many Africans were in their day. These are some smart brothers. And I'm just, what's up? Like, let's go. Like, smart as hell. Power companies could never make a gas sun in the crib. So yeah, they had all this advanced knowledge and they were using it to really just build themselves up. Not in like a selfish way, but just a serious, desire to learn about the world and the inner workings around them and how they can improve. So I do respect that. And in this colony, they had these different schools. They had schools of telepathy, schools of science. And it was just really cool. Like, I wish I could see it, what that looked like, because there was just so many, I don't know, there were just a lot of cool things about that I would, as a knowledge seeker myself, I would really be very impressed with. I know that for a fact. Just so many amazing benefits to this colony that could really benefit a lot of other people, but understandably so, keeping it a secret, I get it, you know, because corporate greed, okay? Yes. And exploitation. And so they live underground because they don't want to essentially be taken advantage of. And then also, truthfully, they don't want, them as immortals do not want to go to war with humans who really don't know what to make of what they are and who they are. And I think that a lot of people, if they can't understand something or they're not trying to, they have a lot of fear and sometimes a lot of anger. So I understand why they are choosing to keep a lot of this under wraps and keeping it within the brotherhood. It makes sense to me. But while I say all that, immediately upon entering, Jessica's using that brain and we love it. She's like, this is a cult. And it is. They're literally worshiping Khaldun. He selected his disciples and they have their duties and they have their thoughts and they look to him as their father. And yeah, he was initiating people into a cult by killing them. They drank the Kool-Aid willingly. You know what I'm saying? So it was crazy. And with that, when you have a cult that's built on this one thing for so long, any little disruption of new information, new ideas, new freaky babies, aka fauna, can really shake some things up. And that's exactly what happened. That was not the intention, but I think when you're far removed from something that you've been with so long, you start thinking like, does this make sense? And then you're like, damn, it don't. But you're like, nah, but then you're trying to rationalize it because you've been following this for 500 years. You're like, nah, this makes sense. But it don't be making sense. So yeah, basically all hell broke loose once Fauna and Jessica came because they really exposed some of the truths that they believe fully. And here come this baby. This is kind of a spoiler, but not really. Here come this baby killing an immortal. And so, yeah, when you think you have all the ideas about how something is built and how it works, and a 4-year-old comes in, blows your eyes out. Sorry, so graphic. Blows your eyes out. It makes you think, like, damn, maybe we not fully immortal. I thought shit was sweet. It's not. This 4-year-old came and she shook the table. She shook the table with their ass. But with that, it's also humbling for Khaldun because he's like, oh, this baby is only 4. I'm thousands of years old. It's like, oh, this is some real shit. I thought I had powers. Her powers are times 30. Not even times 10. They're times 30. And she's doing this unintentionally. So it is like, okay, we have to think about this power in the hands of a child. And so Khaldun was pretty much shook. And so he kind of was like, I didn't really got all the answers. Like, and they said it in the book that Jessica thought of Khaldun as from the Wizard of Oz, when the Wiz was actually just like a hoax. He was not serious. He's just some man in a balloon that couldn't leave, who just happened to know about projection and lighting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all theatrics. And so she felt that way. Even though Khaldun definitely has reached some levels of spirituality that some people will probably never get to. And when that happened, when Fauna did kill that man in the colony, they was like, yeah, we gotta go. And so it was just crazy. Like it really, and that's not even the craziest part of the book. I just feel like this book just increasingly gets wild, which is why my anxiety was through the roof reading this. But it's so good. Like, it's so well worth it. And about the corporate people, I really won't get too deep into them because that's like a whole nother thing. But rich people, they always gonna want to live forever. It's like an obsession with them. Like, so my point from the last video was proven. But I already knew that. It didn't need to be proven. I already knew that. There really wasn't anything that I disliked about this book. Like, sure, Jessica was having her slow ass moments per usual. But when she got it together, I really enjoyed seeing her overcome a lot of her fears and pushing past some of the things that were haunting her. So I do appreciate that, and I love that for her. Overall, this was another banger from Tananarive Due, and I honestly cannot wait to read the third book. I don't know what's gonna happen with this super child, especially how that book ended. I'm really excited, but I think I need to take a break from all this intense stuff and read something a little bit differently. Either way, I'm going to give this a 5 out of 5 golden bookmarks. Much deserved. Come on. Because Tananarive did it again. God damn it, she did it again. Like, what did she do? That. I'm gonna tag her in this. Because I love you, girl. You really be writing your ass off, and I appreciate it. I didn't read the book physically, but I would say it was a page turner. I don't know what the equivalent would be of a page turner for an audiobook, but whatever that is, it was that. This story really had me on edge, but in a good way. Like, I was really anticipating what's next. Phone call, denied. I gotta listen to this book. And that wraps up another episode of the Cozy Little Book Club. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you've made it to the end, please leave a little stack of book emoji or really any emoji that you see fit. And if you've read this or the first book, please let me know. I want to talk about it because the book is crazy. Turn the TV off and read the books. Okay? Jeez. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that you know each time Boo and I drop a new episode each week. Thanks again for tuning in. I hope y'all have a lovely day. And remember, when you open a book, you open your mind. Until next time, peace.